Yo, check this out.
Rhythm games are one of my favorite genres to come back to again and again. What used to be arcade-centric titles have over time been transformed to fit under the roof of our own homes and even on the go. When it comes to rhythmic gaming, there aren't a bunch that have lived long enough to stay on modern systems. Even if that's the case, there are still a slew of them on Steam. Without further delay, let's get right into the list of games. Our first game is a bit of a throwback. Superstar Dance Club was a PS1 title. Just when I thought I knew the system, this hidden gem found me on Steam of all places. The aesthetic reeled me in with its Y2K look, which it did release in 2001. Kinda begs the question as to why they didn't put it on PS2 at that point. Regardless, I enjoyed my time with it even if it was brief. The gameplay here is a tad like Parappa the Rapper. It's a bit of a Simon Says, but with flashing lights and other effects to distract you. It starts off simple enough, but as you'd expect, it progressively gets difficult. The patterns get more intricate while the sessions grow longer for each level. How it works is that you have to press the buttons on beat, obviously, but once you see yellow arrows appear, that's when you're about to switch over to the next lane. What really tripped me up would be how everything is always flashing. Instead of seeing that as a downside, I'm pretty sure that's the point. The music and genre isn't anything too crazy, though I did enjoy them. It isn't much diverse either, so take that how you want. Presentation alone, on the other hand, is great, and I can't help but feel nostalgic for something I never knew about. I honestly couldn't find much about this on YouTube. There's playthroughs, sure, but nobody is saying much about this mysterious title. I say this because it has only 20 reviews on Steam with mixed reception. What makes it even more weird is the fact that the cover art doesn't even match the models in-game. The game description on Steam says this title also supported Konami's DDR dance mat. That would make a lot more sense as to why this game is relatively short. Those negative reviews all talk about the controls and button delays, but I don't think they played the game more than 5 seconds. In order to use your controller, you'll have to navigate the startup menu and select your controller. That's when you'll be able to actually play the game. As for the delay, that's due to everyone using high refresh rate monitors. If you change yours to 60Hz, your desync problems should go away. This is because the game itself runs at 2 times the speed while the audio stays the same, leading to an eventual desync. Superstar Dance Club is an odd title to see on Steam. Unfortunately, it isn't on GOG, so this is the only place you can find it. The base price is $5 with its lowest discount hovering around $1 or $2. I'm not gonna say this is a must-have. If you skip it, you're not missing out on a lot. On the contrary though, it was a nice look into the past. This coupled with the in-game art making it feel a bit nostalgic. If these things matter to you or you enjoy exploring Steam's lesser-known titles, then yeah, I think it's a decent pickup. The next title we have here is Old School Musical. Old School Musical is exactly what it says. It's a game that takes on many forms of recognizable franchises and makes it into a parody using music. It is heavily inspired by the 8 and 16-bit era, and it shows, with how the graphics alter and change throughout the campaign. The way you play this game is a little different from the norm. Instead of a highway, which is what the guitar neck is in Guitar Hero, they go with a DDR style. Sort of. The only difference is that it's in the center of the screen. This is because the events are happening in the background right behind your buttons. Personally, I think this was a great idea. However, the background, especially at the beginning, is very crowded and can be a bit nauseating at times. If you are someone who easily gets headaches, I probably wouldn't recommend it. Other than that, it did prove as a challenge more than anything. Even though this is primarily a rhythm game, it very much so has a story. Now, it's not anything groundbreaking, but it did keep me somewhat interested. You follow 2 brothers who are persistent in saving their mother, who has disappeared. As they fumble to their destinations, they run into interesting characters along the way. Something to keep in mind with this game is that it doesn't take itself all that much serious. There are several gags that throughout the story are hit or miss. Most of them are nods to certain games that it parodies. In terms of the actual music though, I found it to be pretty good. Sometimes they teeter on being a little too close to the source inspiration, but as a fan of those games, it was nice. When it comes to newer forms of chiptune, they can be a bit grating on the ears. This soundtrack, on the other hand, is pretty decent. I didn't really have any problems with its composition. This was an interesting title and I enjoyed my time with it. Old School Musical is a well-priced game at $13. Its sale price hovers around the dollar range, with its last 5 sales being $1.30. To me, that $1.30 is a nice deal to relive some of gaming's iconic titles through this game. While it's a 2-hour experience, it does have tons of extra content that you can play and master. Personally, I was content with the base game, but the extra levels are there. Coming up, we have Super Crazy Rhythm Castle. If you're a big fan of Little Big Planet, this game gave me those vibes. From music to story and even its unique gameplay. The core gameplay is surrounded around the Guitar Hero Highway as its main focus. However, it throws many distractions and obstacles that pull you away from the rhythm aspect. Most would see that as a negative, but it made the experience more fun than your usual smack button at the right time for 3 minutes. If you still want to play those songs uninterrupted, you still can after you reach a certain point in the game. Certain missions will make you want to play them that way anyway. The main objective of this title is to overthrow a king who cheated his way to the throne. Throughout your adventure, he tries to sabotage you the whole way there. As he lies, cheats, and taunts you, it makes the final boss that much more impactful. Seriously, I went into this game thinking that it was just another kid's title. If I'm being honest, it's more for the fans of the genre, or just anyone who enjoys music in general. The story and its characters felt well lived in, and I wanted to know more about this crazy world. Throughout my campaign, I was genuinely taken for a ride. You never knew what would happen next, and that was the best part. The music in this game was also phenomenal, at least compared to most rhythm games that don't use many licensed songs. It has all kinds of genres that it plays with, from classical, electronic, hip-hop, and even music from video games. There were only a few that were pretty annoying, but those were few and far between. As you can see from my footage, I did play with a friend. It's a 4-player co-op title that is treated like a party game at times, but for the most part, it was a team effort. There are some game modes that pit you against each other if that's something that you're into though. While you can play solo, I genuinely think that it's better with friends. I've seen a few reviews here on YouTube bashing this game, and I thought that they were very unfair. Even the comments thought so too. The game is meant to poke at you, and it's best as a multiplayer game. If you're too serious or don't have friends to play with, you might miss its enjoyment. The game is about a 6-hour run if you beeline to the end. If you want more, there are a lot of extras during and after you beat the game. So you'll never feel cheated for throwing $20 at it for its base price. If that's a bit too steep, it usually goes on sale for $5. There's no reason not to give it a try, especially when it has a demo that you can try out if you're still unsure. I feel like I do need to state that in this case, I do believe it is worth the $20. This is one of my favorites on this list and I highly recommend it. Our next game is on the more somber side of things. DEEMO Reborn. You play as a girl who has fallen into this small enclosed space. In order to reach back to where you came, you must play melodies to grow a sapling. As you play well, you discover more songs to play. Playing more songs can unlock certain things and areas. This is a story-based game after all, so you will need to explore around a bit and solve some puzzles. You can even interact with the beings in this strange new world. I really don't want to spoil much of this game as it is best experienced for yourself, so I'll keep it at that. When it comes to music, I was quite surprised. I went in fully expecting only soft and soothing melodies. That ended up not being the case. There are several different kinds of genres, from using guitars to even electronic music. There wasn't a single song I disliked from what I played. Each song became more interesting than the last. I don't have much negative to say other than whenever you play a note, there is an effect that shows several piano keys being played. At first it wasn't a problem, but in more difficult settings, it became an issue. As much as I tried to ignore those keys and look up, it was hard to know which key I had missed so that I could correct my finger placement for the next note. This could just be a me thing, but it was the most distracting thing ever. After playing all the other games that are loud and at times obnoxious, it was a nice change of pace and tone to play this game. And even if you want more upbeat songs, this game still has those in abundance. DEEMO Reborn is $25 base price. It also has DLC, which are around $5 a piece. The main game usually goes on sale for $15. This is a title that rarely goes on sale, so I wouldn't hold your breath. If you do catch it for the low, it's not a bad pick. And our last game is DJMAX Respect V. As usual, this isn't a top 5 list. Even so, there is a reason as to why I saved this one for last. Actually, there's 2 reasons. 1, it's an expensive game, and 2, it's the most faithful in terms of what a rhythm game is. Now I know this isn't an unpopular or lesser known game, but its entry point is on the higher side, price-wise. But we'll talk about that at the end. As for what this game is, there is no story, which, weirdly enough, separates it from all the rest here. It's a simple and straightforward game, just like the OGs before it. Speaking of which, let's start with the controls before anything else. No, you cannot use a Guitar Hero controller for this game, as it would be quite impossible given how it plays. Now it does have full controller support, although I wouldn't entirely recommend it. You can try it, but if you're playing on PC, I seriously suggest trying keyboard instead. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the music. This game is more Eastern than anything, but I was surprised to see other genres. Hip hop and pop are pretty abundant here, and they're really good too. It has a few okay songs from the start, but the more that you play and level up, the more songs you unlock. These are usually the best and more enjoyable tracks in the base game. One thing that I enjoyed was how pretty much all of these songs tell a story with their music videos. Even though this isn't a story-based game like the others, in a way it's filled with a bunch of mini-stories. The visualizers were a big part of this game, and they make it a lot more memorable. When it comes to this game, however, it has one glaring issue. It requires an online connection at all times. If, for whatever reason, you disconnect, the game will close out, as if it were a crash. This proved to be very infuriating, and I have yet to have a session where it didn't crash at least once. It's annoying, but the game is pretty addictive, so I shrug it off. If I hadn't spent several hours on it already, I would have refunded it. Speaking of, the price is pretty steep. It's $50 base game with a bunch of not so microtransactions. Its sale price is a bit more tolerable at a consistent $10. Chances of it going any lower are slim. If you can get past the mandatory online connection and potential crashes or logging out, it's a pretty good game. The lack of genre searches for Steam has always bothered me. A new sale for Steam would come up, and I'd be stuck infinitely searching through a lot of shovelware. Going on YouTube to look for good deals on the sale always left me disappointed too. It's usually the same handful of popular titles everyone knows about, which is why I started doing these videos. My goal here is to have a video for every genre I can get my hands on, so when the next big sale happens, people can hopefully find my videos and find a new game to enjoy. And while the title says Steam, I like to go the extra mile and share where else these games can be found, for that extra convenience. If you like what I do and want to support the channel, leave a like if you liked it, and click the subscribe button to get more of this. As always, I do enjoy hearing your recommendations in the comments. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.